The most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the quietest. They don't chase attention. They command it, without a word. No boasting, no posturing, just presence. Just stillness, just energy that bends the room around them. That's shadow communication. The language of power. That speaks without speaking. It's in the pause, the silence, the way they hold their gaze, the way others shift, flinch, adjust, without knowing why. And once you master it, you don't need to convince, you don't need to explain, you simply exist, and people respond. In this video, you'll learn how to use presence, stillness, and silent energy to control perception, shift dynamics, and dominate interactions without saying a word. 1. What is shadow communication? Shadow communication is the power behind the words, not the words themselves. It's not what you say, it's what you transmit. Through silence, through your posture, through your eyes, through your stillness, through your energy. It's how people feel your presence before you speak. It's how they react to your absence after you leave. This is the language of power. That doesn't announce itself. It doesn't seek attention. It absorbs it silently. It's the man who walks into a room and says nothing, but everyone adjusts. It's the woman who makes eye contact for just 1 second and destabilizes the other person completely. This is shadow communication, invisible influence through nonverbal dominance. It works because the human brain reads energy before logic. Before we process words, we read intention. Before we hear content, we sense power. And most people have no control over what they transmit. Their eyes shift, their voice trembles, their body fidgets, their energy leaks insecurity. But those who master shadow communication, they leak nothing. They emit control, certainty, frame, without effort, without noise, without words. This is not charisma, it's not charm. It's not being likable, it's being undeniable, without trying, without asking, without chasing. Because when you speak through presence, you say more with one glance than others say in 1,000 words. This is the skill we unlock next, and it begins with the 4 core pillars of silent influence. 2. The 4 pillars of silent influence. You don't need to speak to control a room. You just need to embody 4 things, consistently, deliberately, without apology. These are the 4 pillars of silent influence. 1. Presence. Be felt before you speak. Most people walk into a room, hoping not to be noticed. You walk in with weight, not by being loud, but by being fully there. No distraction, no apology, no mental noise. You don't fidget, you don't shrink, you don't scan the room nervously. You arrive completely, and because most people are fragmented and scattered, your wholeness becomes dominance. They feel your presence before you speak, and once you speak, they're already listening. 2. Gaze, control with your eyes, not your words. The eyes transmit dominance or submission. The weak look away quickly, the manipulative stare too long, the powerful hold, then release, on their terms. Use your gaze like a scalpel, not a spotlight. You don't need to intimidate, you just need to make them aware. They've been seen, not judged, just registered. A controlled gaze says, I'm not here to seek approval, I'm here to observe, decide, and lead. Silently. 3. Stillness. Movement only when necessary. The more you move, the more you signal insecurity. The most dangerous predators in nature are still, because stillness radiates control, lack of need, lack of panic. Don't fill space with gestures. Don't rush your body. Don't adjust nervously. Hold your position. Hold your ground. Hold your breath, if needed, and let others feel the weight of your unshaken presence. 4. Energy frame. Shape the room without a word. This is the invisible field around you, your tone, your tempo, your intent, without sound. Some people enter a room and everyone relaxes. Some enter and everyone stiffens. Why? Because energy speaks faster than language. To control your frame, you must know exactly why you're there. Refuse to adapt your frequency for comfort. Project stability, not performance. You don't change to fit the room. You hold your signal until the room adjusts to you, and that's power. These 4 pillars, presence, gaze, stillness, frame dash, create a language that says everything you need before you say anything. Master them, and you'll start noticing how others move when you don't, how they fill silence you control, how they respond to a version of you that says nothing, but speaks volumes. 3. How people react to unspoken power. People don't just hear power, they feel it. Before you speak, before you move, before you even make eye contact, and the moment they feel it, they shift. Their tone changes, their posture adjusts, their words soften, their guard rises, or drops completely. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence rearranged them. This is the invisible impact of unspoken power. It doesn't push, it pulls. It doesn't command, it conditions. They start self-regulating around you. When your energy is controlled, others become hyper-aware of theirs. They second-guess what they say. They reword sentences mid-air. They laugh when nothing was funny, trying to find your emotional signal. They search for feedback, but you don't give it. That uncertainty, it activates their need to stabilize the environment. By adapting to you, they shift to fit your frame, without realizing they've surrendered to it. They reveal more than they mean to. In the presence of calm control, people feel either safe or exposed. And either way, they start talking. They explain themselves unnecessarily. They justify things you didn't question. They fill silence with admissions you never asked for. Why? Because your stillness feels like observation. And humans fear being seen more than being judged. They project their guilt, insecurity, or need for approval onto your silence. And in doing so, they expose everything. They try to earn connection, not demand it. Most social dynamics are transactional. I speak, you validate, I relax. But with unspoken power, that loop breaks. You don't validate, you don't react, you simply observe, and that creates tension, not conflict. But wait. Now they start earning your attention. They try harder, they perform more, they seek signs, any signal of approval. Not because you asked them to, but because your silence created a vacuum, and their ego is desperate to fill it. They respect the frame without being told. You didn't set the rules. You didn't declare hierarchy, but they follow it anyway. They speak less over you. They avoid interrupting. They wait for you to respond. They ask questions instead of asserting points. This is the power of an invisible frame. No need for volume, no need for ego, just presence. That makes hierarchy self-evident. People are conditioned to respond to signals, not just words. And when your signals are clean, calm, unshaken, centered, they trigger ancient instincts. Follow the one who's still. Respect the one who needs nothing. Trust the one who doesn't chase. This isn't manipulation, it's energy literacy. You're not forcing behavior, you're allowing others to reveal their programming in response to your clarity. And that is what real influence looks like. Control without effort. Leadership without command. Power without sound. 4. Building your silent command. Silent power isn't an act. It's not about being mysterious or aloof, or it's about being so internally stable that others have no choice but to respond. You don't perform stillness. You become stillness. You don't fake control. You radiate it. Here's how to build that kind of presence. 1. Master the discipline of pausing. The weak react, the powerful pause. In conversation, don't rush to fill silence. Don't answer too fast. Don't explain yourself immediately. Pause. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them wait. Let the space breathe, because in that space, you establish authority. Those who need approval fill silence. Those who have it, don't. 2. Stop performing emotional availability. You don't owe anyone warmth. You don't owe them comfort. You don't need to mirror their energy to make them feel safe. In fact, don't. Remain still. Neutral, unrushed. Let them adapt to your tempo. Let them seek rapport. Let them lean in, because when people work to connect with you, they value the connection more, and you never had to say a word. 3. Train your gaze to set the frame. Your eyes communicate more than your voice ever will. Hold eye contact, not to intimidate, but to own space. Don't blink too much. Don't look away to break tension. Don't soften your gaze to avoid discomfort. Just hold. Observe. Let them deal with the pressure. It reminds them that you're not reacting to their presence. They're reacting to yours. 4. Enter every room with a chosen frequency. Before you walk in, decide, what do I transmit? What energy do I hold? What's my tempo, my gravity, my frame? Then lock it. And don't adjust unless it's strategic. Most people shift unconsciously. They match others to avoid rejection. You don't. You hold your signal. And the room retunes to match, because the one who holds their frequency, longest and clearest, controls the dynamic. This isn't about manipulation. It's about mastery. You're not tricking anyone. You're becoming someone who speaks volumes before a single word is said. 5. Dangers of misusing shadow communication. Powerful silence isn't something you fake, it's something you embody, but many try to mimic the signals without building the substance. They adopt the posture, the stillness, the slow blink, the lack of expression, and for a moment, it works. They feel in control. But eventually, it cracks, because energy doesn't lie. People might not understand why, but they sense something's off. The gaze feels empty, not grounded. The stillness feels rigid, not calm. The silence feels forced, not deliberate. And suddenly, what was meant to be powerful becomes awkward, artificial, untrustworthy. Shadow communication without inner alignment creates cognitive dissonance. You're projecting control externally, but internally you're insecure. And the body always leaks the truth. That's the danger. If you use this tactic to mask weakness, you amplify it. If you use it to control others from a place of fear, you collapse under pressure. Because when the moment comes that someone challenges your energy, you won't have the core to hold it. This technique requires emotional detachment and identity clarity. You have to be comfortable with discomfort. Stay grounded when others project onto you. Resist the urge to be liked or approved. If you can't do that, don't use shadow communication, because power without alignment is a mask, and every mask eventually slips. 6. Final CTA. You don't need words to influence people. You don't need to speak to shift a room. You don't even need approval to control perception. You just need presence, stillness, and clarity of frame. Shadow communication is the language of those who lead without noise, who dominate without confrontation, who speak without saying anything. It's not a tactic, it's not an act, it's a frequency you live on. And once you master it, you become untouchable. Because no one can argue with silence when it radiates certainty. So here's your challenge. For the next 48 hours, say less, move less, observe more, walk into rooms. With nothing to prove, hold eye contact longer. Pause before you speak and watch how the environment reacts. Because once your presence speaks for you, you'll never need to chase attention again. In the next video, we go one level deeper. You'll learn how to use silence itself as a strategic weapon in social dynamics. This isn't passive, this is surgical. It's called weaponized silence. And once you understand it, you'll never be out of control again.